The night air was warm, and a faint breeze slipped through the window. I came home tired, ready to settle down after a busy day. Aiden was in the living room, sipping a glass of wine, his eyes fixed on me with a look I hadn't seen before. His gaze was intense, almost as though he had a secret to share. "How was your day?" he asked, his voice gentle, inviting. I took a deep breath and let out a sigh, feeling the weight of the day start to slip away. "It was a lot," I replied, sinking onto the couch beside him. But Aiden seemed to be lost in thought, studying me as though seeing something new. Slowly, he reached out, placing his hand on my leg, his touch warm and lingering. A flutter of anticipation ran through me as his fingers traced small circles on my thigh. "I've been thinking," he started, his voice soft, almost hesitant. I looked up, feeling his words spark something deep inside me. "What about?" I asked, curiosity stirring within me. His hand tightened slightly, a quiet reassurance. "I want us to try something different," he said, his tone filled with a mix of excitement and vulnerability. I felt my heart quicken, surprised by his openness. "Different," I whispered, caught between intrigue and nervousness. Aiden nodded, his eyes holding mine in a way that felt both tender and intense. "Yes," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "Something that brings us closer, something new." The way he spoke, the way he looked at me, sent a wave of warmth through me. He was suggesting a new adventure, one just for us. I found myself smiling, the thrill of his suggestion drawing me in. This was unexpected, but it felt exciting, like a secret only we shared. In the days that followed, Aiden kept the details a mystery, but I could see his excitement growing. It was contagious, filling me with a sense of anticipation I hadn't felt in a long time. Finally, the evening he had planned arrived, and he led me to a charming, candlelit restaurant. The place was beautiful, cozy, with soft music playing in the background. The atmosphere felt intimate, like a place made just for us. He poured us each a glass of wine, his eyes shining with warmth as he toasted to us. We talked, laughed, and shared stories, each moment bringing us closer. The world outside faded, leaving only the two of us in this space. As the night unfolded, I felt like I was rediscovering him, learning new things about him I hadn't known. Every word, every smile, deepened the connection between us. The way he looked at me, his eyes filled with affection, reminded me of why I loved him. This night was special, something we would both cherish. When he reached across the table to hold my hand, I felt a spark, a gentle reminder of the bond we shared. I felt so grateful, so content in that moment with him. He leaned over, brushing a kiss on my cheek, his voice soft as he whispered, "Thank you for trusting me." I could feel the sincerity in his words. And as we sat there, side by side, I knew this was a memory we'd carry with us. This evening was about us, about taking a step closer to each other. The weeks that followed that night brought a renewed sense of closeness between us. It was as though something had shifted, deepening our bond in ways I hadn't anticipated. Every time I looked at Aiden, I felt a sense of excitement, a warmth that ran through me. He seemed more attentive, more thoughtful, and every gesture, every touch, was filled with meaning. There was an unspoken understanding between us now, a connection that felt both thrilling and comforting. One evening, he surprised me with a getaway, a trip he had planned in secret. "It's just us," he whispered, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. I felt a thrill of anticipation, my heart racing at the thought of this adventure together. The drive to the hotel was filled with laughter, music, and quiet moments of hand-holding. I couldn't remember the last time we had taken time just for ourselves, away from everything and everyone. When we arrived, the room was beautiful, soft lighting, a plush bed, and a balcony overlooking the city lights. Aiden had truly thought of everything, and his attention to detail made me feel cherished. We shared a glass of wine, standing together on the balcony, the cool night air adding a gentle chill to the warmth of the wine. The world seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of us, wrapped in this moment. As we sat down, he took my hand, his eyes meeting mine with a softness that took my breath away. "I wanted this time with you," he said, his voice low. "Just us, no distractions." I felt myself melt under his gaze, every word he spoke resonating within me. We had shared so much, but this was different, This was a celebration of us, a journey into new experiences and shared memories. He leaned in, brushing his lips against mine, his touch gentle yet filled with a quiet intensity. His hands rested on my shoulders, sliding down to my arms, grounding me in this moment. We spent hours talking, our words flowing easily as we shared our dreams, our fears, and everything in between. I felt myself opening up to him in ways I hadn't before, each word bringing us closer. Aiden held my hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles on my palm, a touch that spoke volumes. "You mean everything to me," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. His sincerity left me breathless. The evening drifted into a comfortable silence, both of us lost in our thoughts, yet completely attuned to one another. Every look, every smile, felt like a silent conversation, a language only the two of us understood. He suggested a walk along the beach, and I eagerly agreed. The sound of the waves, the feel of the cool sand beneath our feet, it was perfect, a beautiful contrast to the warmth between us. We walked hand in hand, our laughter mingling with the sound of the ocean. It felt freeing, as though the worries of the world had been left behind, replaced by a shared sense of joy and contentment. As we walked back to the hotel, the night sky stretched above us, stars twinkling like promises. I felt a sense of peace, a quiet happiness that filled me from within. Back in the room, Aiden turned to me, his eyes holding a spark of mischief. "Shall we dance?" he asked, extending his hand. I laughed, taken aback by his spontaneity, but couldn't resist. With no music but the sound of the night around us, we swayed together, our movements slow and gentle. His arms wrapped around me, pulling me close, and I felt as though I belonged right there, in that moment, with him. Our laughter faded into quiet smiles, and we held each other close, letting the night wrap around us like a warm blanket. There was no rush, no expectations, only the feeling of being together. As the night deepened, we found ourselves lost in conversation once more, our voices a soft murmur in the silence. It was as if we were rediscovering each other, each word bringing us closer. We talked about everything, our dreams for the future, our shared goals, and the little things that made us happy. It was a reminder of why we had chosen each other, of the life we had built together. Aiden reached for my hand, his fingers entwining with mine as he pulled me into a gentle embrace. His touch was comforting, a reassurance of the bond we shared. In that moment, I realized how grateful I was for him, for the love and trust that had brought us to this place. We had shared so much, and this felt like a new chapter, a promise of more to come. As the first light of dawn began to touch the horizon, we found ourselves lying side by side, the world still and quiet around us. His hand rested on mine, a quiet promise of love and commitment. I looked at him, my heart swelling with gratitude and joy. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice filled with emotion. He smiled, his gaze warm and filled with love. Our night together had been more than I could have asked for, a reminder of the strength of our bond and the depth of our love. It was a night I would cherish forever, a memory that would stay with me. We fell asleep in each other's arms, a feeling of contentment settling over me. The night had brought us closer, reminded us of the love and trust that formed the foundation of our relationship. As we drifted off to sleep, I knew that this was only the beginning. There were more memories to be made, more adventures to share, and I was ready to embrace them all, hand in hand with Aiden. In the morning, as the sun rose, we woke up together, sharing a quiet smile as the light filled the room. It was a new day, a fresh start, and I felt more connected to him than ever. Together, we faced the future with love and excitement, ready to create more moments like this one, each memory a testament to the journey we shared. Our night had been special, a celebration of us, and I was grateful for every moment. The weeks after our trip felt different, filled with a renewed sense of joy and gratitude. Aiden and I had reached a new level of understanding, and every shared glance and small gesture reminded me of how far we had come. Life returned to its usual rhythm, but there was a lightness now, an ease in our connection that made even the ordinary feel special. Aiden became more involved in the little details of our daily life, and I found myself falling in love with him all over again. One evening, he surprised me by cooking dinner, a rare occasion. The kitchen was filled with the aroma of spices, and the table was set with candles, his efforts adding a touch of warmth to the night. I watched as he moved around the kitchen, a look of concentration on his face. It was these moments, these simple acts of love, that made me realize how much he meant to me. Our journey hadn't been perfect, but it was ours, and that was what made it beautiful. After dinner, we sat together, sipping tea and talking about our dreams for the future. There was a comfort in sharing these hopes with him, in knowing that we were building something together. Aiden reached across the table, taking my hand in his. "I know things haven't always been easy," he said, his voice soft. "But I wouldn't trade any of it. You've made me a better person, and I want to keep growing with you." I felt my heart swell at his words. We had both changed over the years, learning from each other, supporting each other through life's challenges. And in that moment, I knew that we were stronger because of it. In the days that followed, Aiden suggested that we take up a new hobby together, something that would allow us to spend more time as a team. We chose hiking, an activity that neither of us had much experience with, but that promised adventure and new experiences. Our first hike was a small trail just outside the city. As we walked, surrounded by trees and the sounds of nature, I felt a sense of freedom. Aiden was by my side, his hand steady and reassuring as we climbed the path. With each hike, we grew more confident, and the shared activity brought us closer. We laughed at our missteps, celebrated our small victories, and learned to trust each other in new ways. It was a journey that mirrored our relationship, filled with ups and downs, but worth every step. One afternoon, after a particularly challenging hike, we reached a viewpoint that overlooked a valley. The view was breathtaking, the world stretching out beneath us in a sea of green and gold. Aiden took my hand, a smile playing on his lips. "This is how I feel when I'm with you," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "Like I'm standing at the top of the world." I looked at him, my heart full of love and gratitude. He had become my partner in every sense of the word, someone I could rely on, someone who understood me like no one else. We sat together, watching the sun dip below the horizon, our hands intertwined. It was a quiet moment, but it held a profound sense of meaning. We were two people who had found each other, who had chosen to face life's challenges together. As the weeks turned into months, our bond continued to deepen. We found joy in the simple things, cooking together, sharing quiet evenings at home, and making plans for the future. Our love had grown, shaped by the experiences we had shared, and it felt stronger than ever. One evening, Aiden surprised me with a small box. My heart raced as I opened it, revealing a delicate pendant, a symbol of our journey together. It was a simple gesture, but it spoke volumes about his love and thoughtfulness. "I wanted you to have something to remind you of us," he said, his eyes warm with affection. "No matter where life takes us, I want you to know that I'll always be by your side." Tears filled my eyes as I looked at him, my heart full of love and gratitude. He had given me more than just a gift. He had given me a piece of his heart, a promise of forever. Our love had weathered its share of storms, but it had emerged stronger, a testament to the strength of our bond. I knew that we would continue to face life's challenges together, supporting each other, loving each other, and building a future filled with hope and happiness. As the years passed, we continued to grow together, finding joy in the journey, celebrating the love that had brought us together. We were partners, friends, and lovers, bound by a love that had stood the test of time. Looking back, I realized how far we had come, how much we had learned from each other. Our journey hadn't been perfect, but it had been ours, and that was what made it beautiful. We were a team, two people who had chosen each other, who had built a life filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams. And as I looked into Aiden's eyes, I knew that our story was just beginning, a journey filled with endless possibilities. Our love was a constant, a source of strength and joy, and I was grateful for every moment we had shared. We had found each other, chosen each other, and built a life that was filled with meaning and purpose. And as we stood together, looking out at the future that stretched before us, I knew that we would continue to walk this path side by side, hand in hand, forever and always.